North Korea's military might on full display. At a celebration in July marking the end of the Korean War, Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu stood side by side with the North Korean president. The parade in the capital Pyongyang made a big show of North Korea's expanding nuclear program. But what Russia needs is more simple: ammunition. Notably artillery shells and anti-tank missiles, as many as they can get. EU officials estimate that Russia has fired around 50,000 artillery shells per day since invading Ukraine. International sanctions have limited Moscow's options to replenish its supplies, and so it appears to have turned to North Korea. Pyongyang holds significant quantities of ammunition, though analysts are unsure about the quality of its stockpiles. But North Korea can also offer raw materials, particularly iron ore, which Russia can use to ramp up its own production of shells. Another question for Ukraine's Western allies is what Russia might give in exchange. In the immediate term, food is a top priority for Pyongyang. Years of COVID lockdowns and strangling sanctions have left many North Koreans on the brink of famine. South Korea suspects Russia has offered to hold joint naval drills with China and North Korea, a mirror to the annual exercises held between South Korea and the United States. US! But many also fear Russia may offer advanced technologies that could be used to further Pyongyang's nuclear program, a prospect that would violate over a dozen UN sanctions.
And for more, I am joined now by Marina Myron, military analyst from King's College in London. Welcome to the program, and thank you so much for joining us. First of all, let's talk a little bit more about North Korea and the capacities that it might have. What could it potentially supply Russia with when we talk about, munitions and capabilities?
Hello, Sarah. Well, first of all, I think the most important things that North Korea could supply Russia with are artillery shells and artillery systems that it has. Some old stockpiles that North Korea has would be compatible with Soviet-style artillery systems. Therefore, that would take the pressure off Russia's production and enable it to get more powerful when it comes to the use of its artillery, knowing exactly that Ukraine is lacking artillery shells. So that would give Russia an advantage there. But we don't know what quality it is there and how many shells it could potentially buy.
There's also a lot of speculation that this might now potentially be a two-way street if this meeting does indeed occur, and that North Korea might wish to obtain, besides food, also advanced military technology. What exactly could Kim Jong Un want, and would Russia be willing to deliver, you think?
Well, I think apart from food, even delivering food to North Korea would take pressure off North Korean economy, and more money would be then free to be spent for military purposes. And Kim Jong Un has shown that during COVID. If we look at the amount of missile launches North Korea has made so far, they have not reduced, they have increased every year. Another thing that Russia could offer is cooperation in space, specifically when it comes to designing space assets, space satellites. It could also provide North Korea with launch vehicles, with space launch vehicles, using Russia's cosmodromes, for instance. So there is quite a lot that Russia could offer, and also know-how on development of nuclear submarines or nuclear weapons per se. But I think that would be too risky for Russia, because it doesn't want to see itself endangered by creating another nuclear power. So I don't think that that is an imminent danger.
Talk with us about the bottom line in terms of what this might mean on the battlefield when we're looking at Ukraine. If Russia, for example, does get what it wants, you were talking about those shells, for example, that might be compatible with this sort of Soviet-era architecture of Russia's military. What kind of impact could that potentially have on the battlefield in Ukraine?
Well, given the fact that Russia is under sanctions and Russian economy is being affected, the production of shells is also difficult for Russia, also due to lack of Western components. Therefore, it would ease the situation for Russia. and make it possible for them to use as many shells as they normally would to keep up the fire pressure on the Ukrainian forces. I don't think it will be a significant shift in terms of what is happening on the battlefield, because that is only one small part of the equation. However, I think the consequences of this particular collaboration between the two countries is much more far-reaching on the global scale, and what it means for the global balance of power if the likes of China, Russia, and North Korea conduct military exercises together. So I think we need to think here beyond Ukraine how that will affect the international order.
Marina Myron from King's College London, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.